been in this apartment for over a week and a half. I've not walked through them doors. And it's starting to get to me.
Sure.
And it's starting to play tricks on my mind. And the devil's like, I'm going to fuck with her now. But little does he know, the right hand of God's going to whop his ass down real quick. I have visions of this in my head, and it's all animated. You know, like the devil trying to fuck with me, and God just takes his hand and goes whack.
Yeah.
Or one of the angels with his wings goes
I love it.
Yeah, because I have to have a visual in my mind too, because it races a lot, so it has to have space used up.
Welcome back to Awarewolf for You. My name is Jacqui Mancuso, and today's episode is slightly different from our previous. In this episode, I interview the one and only Jeannie Rogoz, my Aunt Jeanie, the youngest sister on my mom's side of the family. She's been living with AIDS for over 30 years, and she is one of the most positive spiritual people who I have met in this incarnation. This is part one of a mini-series of the life of Jeannie, where she describes how her life circumstances brought her to having this acquired infinitely divine spirituality. And I just wanted to give you guys a fair heads up that this is not a light and breezy story. The intention for recording with Aunt Jeanie was to showcase how even though life can bring you down to the darkest slums, it's always your choice about how to shine your light and how to pull yourself out of the darkest times. My aunt has been an inspiration of positivity for me in my life for as long as I can remember. And I'm hoping that you're able to see through some of the situations that she's been in through the same light. There is a certain superpower in storytelling, living through the metaphor of another. Being able to find yourself in some of these stories, even though the details might be completely off, but finding a deeper meaning in the messages of the story. So without further ado, I present to you Jeannie Rogoz.
She finally told me one day, she goes, I can't stand by and watch you kill yourself anymore. So she removed herself from my life. We went our separate ways.
Yeah, and then you guys
reconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about that last night, and it was a little overwhelming, because not overwhelming in a bad way, but it made me realize how far I've come.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize I have moments of clarity now where I can look back at what I've done and not only remember it, but see it and feel it all over again, but I don't have to stay stuck there. There's 20 years that I was so fucking into that needle and the drugs. Life was going on around me and I just didn't participate. It was, and that's sad for any person that puts themselves through that. You know, exists like that. I didn't, is it taping?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. See, I don't even know where's...
Well, so I guess I can help with a lead-in
Thank
question.
You. Okay, because I don't know where to begin. I've got so much in my head.
Of course.
It's like, what? What do you want to know? Because I have to go to that file and fucking pick it out. Go to that cabinet and pull out the file.
And is ever, like, however deep you want to go or however, like, anonymous you want to stay, whatever, you know, like, this is going to be out there to help people.
Okay.
Like, you speak at your meetings.
Right.
And you know how much you help people.
Yes. I believe in my heart I do. And I've been told by people. And that's what makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
Because that's been my dream for so long. And to actually have your dreams come true. to live to see your dreams come true, that is fucking so cool. And so where do I go from here?
Why don't we just start at the beginning, right? You were born into a family of 4. You were the 5th, right?
Yes.
Because here,
no, I was the. Okay.
No one knows anything about you. Who the fuck are you?
I'm American, of Polish descent. I was born into a family with 4 siblings. I was the 4th. At the time, I didn't know we were dysfunctional. But as I got older, I learned. And it's okay to be dysfunctional, because that's how we learn. I remember as a child being very happy all the time and curious about life and people, and I remember that I didn't see color. And what was imprinted into my mind and my heart was God.
Are you talking about skin? You didn't see color?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you living in Wizard of Oz time?
No, color meaning like I saw people as people, not as of color.
Sure.
Because at the time I was growing up, people were very racist and mean and prejudiced, and that used to break my heart.
Early 60s. What year were you born?
I was born in 64 and grew up in the 70s. And I'll tell you, to grow up in those decades, well, I didn't grow up I grew up in the 70s, started my growth in the 70s. But that time of living versus how I see it today is so different. I mean, they're worlds apart. I'm sure there was a lot of the evilness then. It just wasn't as known or made known.
Mm.
It was more of a secret.
Okay. Do you think that's like you specifically, or that was just the era of the time?
I think both. For me, it was definitely secretive. I was raised to be seen and not to be heard. Mm-hmm. You don't talk about what goes on in your own home. And things happened when I was very young. I was molested at 9 mm-hmm. by someone that was just a few years older than me. And it wasn't just one person. It was another brother and sister that did it too. And it was funny because they were in the same grade level.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that whole grade was just produced rapists, pedophiles, and fucking psychos.
Sure.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was sick, and it wasn't my imagination. These are things that happened. And the saddest part is, come to find out, it wasn't just happening to me.
Oh, of course not.
Because as we got older and we learned how to find our voice and we talked and shared, a few of us that went through the same thing with the same people, it came out.
Sure.
So at 9 years old, okay, let me backtrack a minute. I'm baptized and raised Catholic. I was raised a hard Catholic from the Old Testament, so...
Grandma's Catholic before she is Polish.
Yes. And when I say hard Catholic, I mean, coming from the Old Testament, I, for the longest time, thought that God was a punishing God because there were these 10 commandments and you better follow them. And I remember the priest always yelling at us and telling us, if you do this, you're going to hell. And I understand now those were more like scare tactics because God is not a punishing God. Thank God I learned that too before I died. But so getting to where 9 years old was, Okay, it was imprinted. I always believed in God,
Mm-hmm.
irregardless whether it was punishing or loving. I have a healthy fear of God, a respectful
Okay.
fear.
I like that word choice.
Yeah, I honor his brilliance, and his mercy. I'm just so amazed on a daily basis how something that created us can love us so much. Because for so long, after that man and that brother and sister violated me and put their sins, I felt like their sins were mine. I thought at 9 I was going to hell. And I didn't tell anyone in my family because I was threatened and told if you tell somebody, you're going to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you're 9 years old.
You don't know any better.
Exactly. And shame on people like that. I despise people like that. I would never kill anybody. But had somebody tried to put hands on my son, my child, that'd be a fine line to cross. Because I don't know what I would have done.
Sure.
So I'm grateful I was never put in that position. We were all born so innocent. And I know there's a plan for us. I believe there was a plan for us before we were even here. And it took me a long time to find my way. After I was molested, my father died in 75, and I was just turning 11. And that, on top of being molested, just even at that tender age, put me in another mind frame. I want to say this. Okay, as a child, I'm a deep thinker, and I look back and I remember stuff, and I've read stuff that I wrote as a child. Mm-hmm. And a child should not have those kind of deep thoughts.
Deep like how? You
like
are
such
Aquarius.
An intense feeling like right and wrong, like someone being violated. It's not that I wanted to lash out and hurt them. Mm-hmm. I wanted to say, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, shame on you.
Yeah.
Especially to a child. We're born of such sweetness and purity and innocence, and we're just an open vessel, and our minds are so, they're just waiting to absorb all this good stuff.
And we don't always get the good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because I didn't get it all, I got a lot of good stuff, thank God, my faith base. And thank God he never abandoned me. But I had so much to learn, and today, at 59, I look back and wow, I'm amazed still, like a little child, childlike, meaning it's
curious.
Curious.
That wonder.
Yes,
yeah.
And I'm not afraid today to ask questions or talk. I try to figure stuff out and find out the purpose in things, and I got a little disgruntled with my son one day because he said to me, he goes, Mom, everything doesn't always happen for a reason, it just happens. And
I disagree, Joe.
Yes. And another thing he said to me that really pissed me off was, it is what it is. Fuck you. I love you, Joe, and I love where your heart is. But we tend to disagree on some things.
We always are. We're given lessons by the people that
Yes.
are closest to us.
Exactly.
You learn from the disagreements.
Yes. And my son has taught me so much. From the moment I knew I was pregnant with him, I was in delight, even though I was fucked up already on drugs and alcohol. God blessed me with a child. And from the moment I felt him stir beneath my heart, I was in love. And then when he came to be born, it was a miracle because of what I did throughout the pregnancy and because of the things that happened to me during the pregnancy. And God saw fit. He answered my prayers because I would pray diligently every night. God, please do not punish my unborn child for my sins. And he didn't. So I know God is a loving, forgiving God. He's proven it to me over and over. And I still didn't learn. And it's not that I took it for granted. It was I was so lost within myself. Meaning I was so scared and felt no self-worth.
Well, you were talking about being 9 years old and having those deep thoughts.
Oh.
Writing in your journal. And I wanted to ask, was it like at 9 years old, did you know that was wrong?
I knew something wasn't right. I knew I shouldn't have been touched like that because I have a strong intuition, I want to say.
Yeah.
And when your gut tells you something, you should listen to it. But at that age, I wasn't able to
act on it?
Exactly. Sure. I should have got up and ran away, but I was frozen in terror. So I did.
Fight or flight.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You froze.
I froze.
Which a lot of us have in situations like that. Yeah.
I remember when my dad died, and I used to leave notes at his grave. Letters. Because I always wrote. I'm a good writer.
Yes, you are.
And I would say, Daddy, why did you leave me here? Abandon me here? Because I felt like everything that I knew I mattered to him, and he always made me feel like I mattered. So when that was removed, I felt like nothing. And I didn't want to feel like that. So at 11, I started using hard drugs to try to fill that feeling of emptiness and loneliness. And to not feel, period. Mm-hmm. Because everything I was feeling was so intense and hurtful. And deep in my heart, I know that's not what God intended for us to feel like. So even through my addiction, which was fierce, it was 30 years of fucking being chained to the devil and just being a soldier of Satan. And I'll tell you, I felt like the nastiest fucking war pig on my belly. I felt like the scum of the earth. I felt like something that somebody just shit out on a plate because of the things I was doing and putting myself through. And then to realize it wasn't just me I was putting this through. It was the people around me that loved me. I was so self-centered in my addiction that I didn't do it to hurt other people. I was more of that self-destructive addict in the sense that I would hurt myself before I would hurt another human being because I know that pain already.
Sure.
And I would hurt myself just to remind myself that I'm still alive. And looking back now, I know I hurt people around me, but how? I was questioning myself last night and asking God, how could my family have not seen how much pain I was in? Because the way I mutilated my body with needles, and I was like the walking dead, and I was selling myself and stealing and living on the streets and hanging around with people that were I was existing. My body was here, but my soul was just I felt raped. Mm-hmm. But somewhere deep down, I chose to believe that one day the miracle will happen. Please, God, let me live to have peace of mind, and let me be there for someone one day who may be going through the same pain and doesn't know how to cope. Because had I known, like many say, if I knew then what I knew now, but like the time frame I was raised in, or no, it was the people I gravitated toward. I was introduced to this wonderful program at 26, and it's Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's a 12-step program, and it's a gift, it's a blessing. And it wasn't until I was 26 that I even had any inkling about it. Because before that time, I surrounded myself with people that were
just as much in pain as you were.
Exactly.
Yep.
And as smart as I am, I thought when I went through my first treatment that I'd be a one-time wonder. Bullshit. Because I was so smart. I complicated such a simple program. And that's why I know everything happens for a reason. I was introduced to it in '89, and I didn't grasp it. And people that are familiar with the program will understand when I say this. I was introduced to it at '89, didn't grasp it till 2009. So there was 30 years? Am I doing the math right?
20 years? 89, 99, 09. 20 years.
20 years of bouncing in and out of this wonderful program, trying to get it right. And I do not suggest relapse for anybody. Because as smart as I am, on my first relapse, I contracted the AIDS virus. You'd think I'd be done. No, then it just got worse. Oh God, so many lifetimes I lived. So many lessons. Now it's going real fast in my head. Mm-hmm.
Take your time.
The program, I can never say enough about it, because the program that I'm familiar with, a lot of it was drawn from the Bible, but not. I learned about spirituality in the program, and there's a big difference between religion and spirituality, and I didn't know that till I was 39. And at 39 is when I feel I was born again, that I crossed over to a different realm, to a spiritual realm. Because I think for myself, I soar through different what's the word I'm looking for? Not an essence, but different.
Consciousness?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Like different levels of consciousness.
Okay.
Like either earthbound where everything is as it is, but then if I can calm myself down mentally and physically and allow myself to focus, I can like go off into a spiritual realm where more stuff is being revealed to me because I'm tapping into something that's giving me a better understanding.
But you're still living like your
Yes.
conscious life.
Yes. Yeah. My dream as a child was always about peace, love, and hope. I always sought peace of mind because my mind always raced. Even before the bad stuff, I have a very good mind, a very strong mind, very intuitive. I know a lot of, I know a little about a lot of things and a lot about absolutely nothing. I found myself saying that so many times. There's so much in life that I can't, when someone says they're bored, it's like, what?
Yeah, how are you bored?
How are you bored? I mean, oh my God.
Have you thought about anything lately? There's a lot to think about.
Yeah, there's so much to think about and so much you can do. And like now that I'm clean and sober and living life on life's terms and I've come to acceptance, that dream of peace, love, and hope has turned into a happy, joyous spirit. And I remain grateful, not only for the good, because being grateful for good stuff is easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's being grateful for the hard stuff and taking from it what you can learn or finding the lesson in it. That's me. I'm always looking for a reason for why something happened. There is,
Do you think you could share like a story that, something that would be perceived as like a shitty situation, but how you viewed the lesson from it? How you remained grateful for the lesson? Because that's in my eyes, that's who you are.
Okay. There were many traumatic things that happened to me in my life, and I found myself one day questioning God. Why is the cross I carry so heavy? I asked God, why have you allowed? I question my Lord. Why have you allowed these things to happen to me? Well, why the fuck not? You are no better or less than anybody else. I believe that his response would be, my child, I will not give you more than you can handle. And I believe that. But it took me a long time to get there. Because in the same breath, I've cried out to God and said, I don't think my shoulders are strong enough to carry this cross. Why are you making it heavier? Because when I got clean and sober, reality set in, and I have consequences I live with that are difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 32-year survivor with AIDS, and I thank God that I'm a long-term survivor. And I made an acronym, which Jackie's father pointed out to me it was an acronym because I didn't realize what the fuck I had made. But I took the letters in AIDS, and instead of it meaning to me acquired immune deficiency syndrome, I have acquired infinitely divine spirituality by befriending the disease and its consequences and giving it permission to live in my body.
You made peace.
I
with
made
AIDS.
peace with it, and it has let me live as long as I have with it.
There's a lesson in resistance and surrender.
Surrender,
Holy
exactly.
shit.
When you stop fighting, the good will come out of it. And I thought, I don't know why I thought when I got sober that God would take away the AIDS.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, what a disappointment. Duh. But it's okay today. So then, to keep me attentive, God let me endure some more consequences.
You got to keep you on your toes.
Yes, and that he does. Now I live with COPD, and that one scares me more than the AIDS, probably because I haven't been living with it that long. And
how long have you had COPD?
I got diagnosed. Okay, let's see. Mary was here in 2009. Probably about 2008, I got diagnosed. And my first thinking was, I was still smoking at the time. I said, well, fuck it, I'm going to keep smoking. I'm going to die anyway. Well, we're all going to die. It's just how quick you want to go.
And how miserable you want to be.
Exactly. So I got sober finally, where I am building. I made total surrender in 2009, 11/22 of 09. And I listened, whatever they told me to do, I did. They said, don't get in a relationship. I'm still happily single because I'm still discovering who I am, and I'm liking it on most days. Go to meetings. Where am I going with this? Why did I?
You totally surrendered.
I totally surrendered, and whatever suggestion, I figured I listened to all these sick people. Why don't I let these people that seem to be walking a good path, let's practice some of their principles and follow some of their suggestions. And damn, it worked. and what was these 12 steps that were put in front of me, which I tried to do to perfection. And that's why I kept slipping and relapsing, I think, is because I thought I had to be perfect.
And trying to control the outcome again.
But it's about progress. It's not perfection. None of us are perfect.
Speak for yourself. I'm just kidding.
Nothing is perfect. There's always room for progress and growth. And I'm walking proof of it. I walk among a chosen few that have walked through the dark and into the light. I can honestly say that I walk in the light today, and that that light shines from me, because I want to be there for other people as an example to keep your faith. If nothing else, just believe in something greater than yourself, whatever you call it, whatever it is. I was baptized Catholic, and I don't feel I have to go to church to talk to God or pray, or he's not going to be pissed off if I don't make it to church, because of the fact, and maybe I'm rationalizing, who fucking knows, I commune with God every day, all day. There's a constant open line of communication. The times that I'm the one that disconnected from God. he had my hand all along, and I'm the one that pulled it away. And I picture this because as I speak, I'm visualizing it in my head, and it's like, I want to say animated. Not like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, but, it's animated.
Yeah.
And I could see myself walking along a beach with God. And I remember the times that he carried me. And there were so many. And I'm so grateful he didn't drop me by the wayside. And I'm grateful that he loves me so unconditionally, that he lets me still live and be with people and learn from people and delight in the beauty of people and their souls. It's like some people have a special aura. They're surrounded by light, and it's either light or dark, and I hate to say it's either black or white, but I have a hard time sometimes with the middle ground because I don't like things half-assed, which I've done most of my life. But I believe there's good in all of us, but some, I'm learning, just may not get better
in this lifetime.
And I will continue to pray for them people, but I refuse to allow myself to put myself in situations where I'm trying to rescue someone, because that has been my downfall many times. I had to learn that you can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves.
That's very true.
And you can't carry an addict or alcoholic. You can't do it for them. You can't take the steps for them. They have to come to some kind of surrender. I know from experience on both sides of the
like being an addict and also knowing addicts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been sponsored because there's a sponsorship in the program, and I've had and have sponsees. So I've been on both sides of the table, so I can see both viewpoints. And I know now how much not disappointment, that's like how much sorrow maybe. Like when one of my sponsees wasn't ready, and I had to accept that.
Yeah. And not take it personally, not take
yes,
responsibility.
Yes. Yeah. And now I can only imagine how my sponsor felt when I went off the deep edge and didn't come back for 20 years.
Yeah.
Because amazingly, my second sponsor from, 30 years ago, through Facebook, which is my venue for writing, let me throw that in, we reconnected through Facebook, and honestly, with the life I was leading and the path I was going in, and with having AIDS, a lot of people wrote me off for dead. So when they found out, when she found me again
30 years later,
and she heard my voice, she knew I saved myself. No, I didn't save myself. God saved me. I let God.
You allowed
I
it.
got out of the way.
Yeah.
And let the miracle happen. And she said she didn't understand the feeling she had to find me. So,
intuition.
Divine intervention.
Yep.
God has put in this final chapter of my life, which is the best chapter of my story. I want to say I'm going to go back because this chapter started like 14 years. No, it started in 2003 when I moved out to Wheaton. And that's where I felt I found heaven on earth. I did a geographical change. I removed myself from the city, came to the suburbs where I thought I wasn't good enough to live in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't meet that standard.
You weren't a Stepford wife?
Yes,
So.
definitely not. I'll never forget. I have to say this because I just had a quick flashback. I was sitting at the table with a bunch of AA ladies, friends of mine, and they have some years on me. They have a lot of sobriety, and I was just new to their group. And my sponsor was sitting next to me, and she knows all about me and likes me anyway. So one of the ladies goes, "Hey, Jeannie, what did you do for a living?" And I paused. I looked at my sponsor, and she nodded at me. She goes, "It's okay." And I go, "I was self-employed. I worked retail. I love working with people. I was a prostitute." And she looked at me, this suburban woman from money, a woman of privilege, and she goes, "Oh, it's okay, honey." She goes, "We've all prostituted ourselves one way or another." And she just made me feel so at ease and so accepted.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the program, there's a thing called the promises. And if I don't know it by heart, but there's one part that reads, no matter how far down the scale we have gone. Well, the first time I heard those words 30 years ago, I took it to mean, well, I have to earn this seat in AA, so I have to hit a low bottom.
Interesting.
As if my bottom wasn't low enough already when I walked in.
Yeah.
So God said, "Okay, go do your stuff, Jane, and see how much you can take." And I acquired more consequences, and boy, I went as low as I can humanly go. In my book, I'm done. I can honestly say, by the grace of God, I have no desire, no compulsion, no thirst, no hunger for drugs and alcohol. I know from experience that they doesn't make anything any better. I don't care which way you fucking want to do it. Smoke it, shoot it, eat it, sniff it, stick it up your ass, which people I've heard are doing nowadays because you get off quicker. Oh my gosh, thank God I got out of the game. That's, you know, things shouldn't go in where they come out. Don't go into the outdoor. And that's just my personal opinion. And I'm very honest and very open.
This was lovely. Jean shares all.
Yes. But now when I hear the promises, oh, this is so beautiful. And it's the promises of the program. And if you just follow mere suggestions, they don't tell you to do anything. They're just suggestions. And it says, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. And we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. And then it goes on to say, are these extravagant promises? They're not. I thought I wasn't worthy 30 years ago. But if you stick around long enough to watch them and allow them to unfold in your life, it happens to the best and the worst. It has there's no criteria. There's nothing you have to do to qualify. It's just about surrender and acceptance and having an honest and open mind, and then a willingness to allow, for me, it's a willingness to allow myself to let God do for me what I couldn't do for myself, to show me. He puts people in my life. I have to say this because I just looked at Jacqui and made eye contact. I love Jacqui like if she was my daughter, and she's my niece. And the fondest memory I have of her is I was so into my addiction, and my sister brought her to see it. We got together, and she was maybe 2, maybe 3 years old. And she walks up to me, cute as a button. And she had a dress on, too. It was so cute. And the blondest hair and the most beautiful smile. And she goes, I know who you are. She goes, you're my Aunt Jeanie. And out of all my nieces, my sister's 6 daughters, she was the one I spent the least amount of time with. But it's like she knows me best, and I'm the closest to her. She's like a kindred spirit to me, like we share similar souls or something. There's a connection there that's so strong and just so present. And there's something about her that's just so fucking amazing. And she's like a combination of all her sisters, but she's Jacqui, and she's unique, and she's so full of life, and I adore her. I respect her. I admire her. And she gives me so much inspiration and strength. I don't think she even knows. I mean, from the moment she uttered them words to me, because she didn't know me from Jack. But she must have been listening to people talk, because I'm sure I know my name was brought up a lot in family discussions, and not in a good way. But she never looked down on me. Her and my son, they're very close in age, and they look like brothers and sisters. They could be brothers and sisters. People, when they see pictures of the 3 of us together, they go, are those your children? Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's amazing, you know.
This definitely is not our first rodeo together.
No, it isn't, and it won't be our last. Exactly. And she has taught me what unconditional love is, you know, and I see the world through different eyes when I look through hers, and it's beautiful, and it's nice, and it's about positive things and humanity and, you know, the animals and nature and just the simple things that God surrounds us with, that he gave us. In all his glory, he created this wonderful earth for us. And there's only few that seem to really take a deep appreciation for it. People think miracles are something grandiose, but they're simple things. My son used to laugh when a wild bird would come and land in our flower box. I say, Joey, come look. And he'd be like, what the fuck, Mom? It's only a bird. I go, but isn't it amazing? Look at it. I take such delight like a child in the little wonders. We have so many blessings on a daily basis.
And all of those wonderful things that you just said about me, it goes both ways. I've learned so much from you, from watching you live the life that you've lived. And no matter how low God has brought you, you never gave up. You never turned your back, you never gave up. You surrendered.
Yes.
But you never threw in the towel.
Yeah. And I'd like to know where I got that. I know it's a gift from God, but I had to learn it somewhere. I believe, so I know it's in another lifetime, one of my other lifetimes. I have the strong recollection of biblical times. Why, I don't know. I feel I was present at the Last Supper. Mm-hmm. I feel that I was there during the Stations of the Cross when Jesus was being crucified. I just feel like I was there in the moment. And I remember as a child wanting to take away some of that pain. I feel I'm an empath, that I feel other people's feelings not as intensely as they are, but as intensely as a person can. Mm-hmm. And if I could, I would absorb and take away their sorrow and their pain, leave their joy for them to delight in. Mm-hmm. But if I could make someone's life a little lighter, a little brighter, that makes my heart pump and go.